The city hums with chaos, horns blaring, downfall buses screeching and generators rumbling like distant thunder. But in the forgotten corner of Ajekunle, on the third floor of a crumbling face-me-and-face-ya building, Jide sits alone. The one bulb in his apartment flickers overhead before giving up completely, plunging the room into a kind of darkness that feels alive. The wind pushes through broken window slates, rustling piles of old film scripts, rejection letters, and yellowing notebooks, filled with scenes that no one has ever read. Empty Indomie lie beside unopened emails with titles like, "We regret to inform you." The water stain spreads slowly across the ceiling, dripping with the rhythm of failure. Drip, drip, drip. Jide stares at a stack of scripts on his table, his blood, sweat, and wasted time. He is 36, 10 years in Nollywood, no breakthrough, no credits, no awards, only bitterness. People once called him the next big thing. That was when he was still in Unilag, bright-eyed and full of ambition. But the world doesn't care about ambition. Not here, not in Lagos. His phone buzzes. He doesn't look at it at first. Probably another text reminder, or worse, his landlord threatening to throw him out. But the screen keeps lighting up, glowing like an eye in the dark. Unknown caller. Jide picks it up, half hoping it's a wrong number. "I hear you have talent. Come to the island, midnight, no questions." The voice was deep, deliberate. There is an eerie calm to it, like it belongs to someone who has never been refused anything in his life. Before Jide can respond, the call ends. He stares at the phone, heart pounding. He's heard the name before. Chief Agada. Whispers flew around Mollywood like spirits in the Hamatan. Stories of a man who could make you a star overnight. No auditions, no calls, just a single meeting, and boom, your name lights up in the sky. But the stories also speak of darker things. Actors and actresses who rose fast and vanished faster. Films that were never released but somehow made billions. And the house? Agada's mansion on the island. No one goes there twice. No one talks about what happens behind the gates. Still, Jide is hungry, not just for food, but for meaning. His fridge hums with emptiness. His phone balance reads 0. Bank account is a grave. He opens his notebook and flips through a worn-out script titled City of Blood. His magnum opus. The one everyone said was too dark, too risky, too artsy. He looks at the ceiling, at the crack running like a lightning bolt across the wall, at the rats scurrying under his broken fan. And then he grabs his jacket. The island is far. The traffic will be hell, but something tells him tonight won't be ordinary. As he locks his doors and steps out into the smoke-choked night, the wind howls a strange warning behind him, and the city, forever loud, suddenly feels too quiet. Rain starts the moment Jide crosses the third mainland bridge. Not the playful Lagos drizzle, but the heavy, merciless type that makes the road shine like obsidian, and the shadows stretched unnaturally long. The taxi driver doesn't speak. His face is hidden behind a faded cap. His hand tight on the wheel. Every time Jide tries to start a conversation, the man just grunts or mutters in Yoruba. Finally, the car turns off the main road into a narrow path, lined with trees that shouldn't exist in the city. Thick, blackened things, gnawed and clawing at the sky. Then, out of nowhere, it appears. The mansion. Not just a house, not even a place, a living thing. Massive iron gates curl upward like black fangs, covered in carvings Jide doesn't recognize, symbols that pulse slightly in the dark, as though breathing. Vines creep up its surface, despite the concrete surroundings. The very ground around the compound feels older, heavier, like it belongs to a different time, a different realm. The gates open on their own, the car enters, the gates slam shut behind him with the kind of finality you will hear in graves. Jide steps out, suitcase in hand, breath fogging in the air. Even though the Lagos night was warm, everything is too quiet, no crickets, no dogs barking, just silence. The front door opens before he can knock. A tall man in white leads him through a long candlelit corridor. The hallway smells with meh, wet stone and something deeper, something like burnt hair or blood just beginning to rot. The paintings on the wall shift when he isn't looking. A woman weeping black tears, a lion with human eyes, a child without a mouth. The servant says nothing. He merely gestures for Jide to enter a grand room. At the center, beneath a massive red chandelier that drips wax like blood, sits Chief Agada. He wears a deep burgundy wrapper and a matching silk buba that seems to shimmer between worlds. Gold rings glint on each finger. His eye is black, bottomless, ancient, tumbling, not once. He studies Jide the way a lion watches a wounded antelope. So, he finally says. His voice is smooth, ancient, seductive. You came. Jide gulps. You called. I always call, Agada murmurs, but not all answer. There is a silence. Then Agada gestures. Another door opens, and in walks a man. Jide gasps, because the man looks exactly like him. Same height, same clothes, same scar above the eyebrow from when he fell off the downfall in 2017. But this other Jide has no light behind the eyes. He moves like a puppet with invisible strings. This, Agada says, rising slowly, is your shadow. Jide stumbles back. This is a trick, a stunt, some crazy double. No, Agada interrupts, his voice suddenly sharp. Your shadow is everything you carried, every decision you've made, every pain you've buried, and now you must give it up. Jide stares, heart racing. Why? What does that even mean? Agada walks towards him. You said you wanted to be seen, to be known, but the world has no room for men who carry too much of themselves. Give me your shadow, and I'll give you the world, money, fame, power. All of Nollywood will bow at your feet. Your stories will be legend, your voice immortal. The shadow version of Jide stands still, breathing in unison with him. But if I lose my shadow, what do I become? Agada smiles. Successful. Jide looks around. The air has grown colder. The candle flickers violently. The paintings on the wall now all depict him, screaming, drowning, burning. He thinks of his mother, voice hoarse with disappointment. He thinks of the years he's lost, the women who left, the dreams that died before they were born. He thinks of hunger, of rejection, of shame. He extends his hand. Agada takes it. The moment they touch, the room trembles. A low groan echoes through the house, like the earth itself is protesting. Jide feels something tear from within, like flesh being peeled from soul. His knees buckle, his visions blur. For a second, he sees a swirling storm of faces, people he knows, people he doesn't, screaming silently as they sucked into a black abyss. And then, it's over. Jide collapses to the ground, gasping. His other self is gone. Agada lights a cigar, exhales a plume of smoke shaped like a lion. Welcome, he says, to the dark side. 3 months later, the transformation is immediate and miraculous. City of Blood, the same script that was once mocked as too dark, too complex, became the most anticipated Nollywood film in a decade. It gets lit by 3 major studios at the same time. Before the week ends, producing begins with the biggest names in the industry fighting to be part of it. Jide no longer sleeps in darkness. He now lives in a penthouse in Ikoyi with floor-to-ceiling windows and imported rugs from Morocco. His fridge hums with champagne and strawberries. Instagram is flooded with his new designer lifestyle. He's invited to private yacht parties and whispered about cult film festivals in Cape Town and Marrakesh. His name trends every day. He becomes the voice of a generation. Directors call him the visionary. Critics say he's hauntingly brilliant. Young filmmakers worship him. Women adore him. Men envy him. But success, as promised, is not free. It starts subtly. One morning, while brushing his teeth, he notices his reflection blinking a moment too late. At first, he laughs it off. Maybe he's tired, maybe it's stress. But the next night, when he returns home after premiere, he finds all his wardrobe mirrors turned to face the wall. His cleaner swears she didn't do anything. The next week, he hears whispering in the bathroom, soft, indistinct murmurs that vanish the moment he opens the door. His new assistant quits after just 3 days, claiming the house has too many eyes. Jide laughs nervously, then hires another one. That one leaves within a week, refusing to say why. And then, the real horror begins. His best friend, Dapo, is found dead in his flat, eyes wide open, mouth stretched in a scream but with no wounds. The coroner says his heart just stopped. The night before, Jide had missed Dapo's calls, 3 of them all around midnight. He blames it on stress, on grief, until Tope, his first girlfriend, dies the same way. Then Emeka, his writing partner. All gone within days of each other, all wide-eyed, all with their mouths frozen in that same silent scream. The funeral crowd shrinks. Friends stop speaking in skulls. Even the media begins to whisper, "Is Jide cursed?" He tries to find Agada to demand answers, but the mansion is gone, literally vanished. Where it once stood is now a construction site with confused workers and security who claim nothing has ever been here. Jide begins to unravel. He stops sleeping. He boards up the windows of his penthouse. He starts seeing things in the peripheral vision, a figure always just out of sight, and the dreams, they come every night. He's back in Agada's mansion, walking barefoot endlessly hallways. Paintings bleed. The wall whispers in voices he recognizes. Sometimes he sees himself, his sudden shadow self, standing silently at the edge of the corridor, its eyes like holes carved into the fabric of reality. One night, Jide wakes up with blood on his hands. There is no one in the apartment. Nobody, no wind, just blood. He screams until his voice cracks. Desperate, he visits a babalawo in Ibadan, an old man said to see beyond worlds. The old seer touches Jide's forehead and recoils instantly. "You carry a wound that cannot be seen," the babalawo says. "Your shadow is no longer yours. It walks alone. It drinks from those who knew you best." Jide falls to his knees. "How do I stop?" "You can't stop what you fed," the old man replies, eyes clouded with dread. "You must find one who took it before it consumes you completely." But time is running out. Jide returns home to find the mirrors all shattered, the word "Omo Ebora" smeared across the walls in ash, a Yoruba phrase, child of the demon. That night, he stands before a cracked mirror. He sees the truth. A reflection smiles, but Jide isn't smiling. Jide no longer recognizes himself. The red carpets are gone. The interviews, the applause, the fans, all dust now. His name no longer trends. Directors stop calling. His phone rings only in the dead of night, and no one ever speaks on the other end. His apartment feels like a prison. The light flickers, no matter how many times NEPA restores power. The walls creak and groan like they are speaking in tongues. Water turns black in the taps, and the reflection in his mirror, it no longer mimics his movements. Sometimes it turns and walks away while Jide stands there, staring in horror. Then, one night, the mirror shatters on its own, and its reflection steps out. The shadow, the one he gave away, it smiles, a grin carved from darkness itself, its voice in his but deeper, more ancient, it whispers, "You give me life, now I will give you death." Jide runs. He doesn't stop. From the glass towers of Ikoyi to the dust outskirts of Mushin, Jide hides. He grows a beard, burns his old script, changes SIM cards, avoids mirrors, reflections, and even still water. But the curse clings to him like smoke. He dreams of the mansion again. Only now it's in ruins, and Agada walks its halls with blood dripping from his hands. The few remaining friends who haven't yet died refuse to meet him. A social media blog leaks a blurry photo of Jide buying a rat poison sachet from a roadside vendor. Rumors spread that he has gone mad, that he is a murderer, that his soul is no longer his, and the shadow hunts. Everywhere he hides, it follows. When he sleeps, it enters his dreams. When he wakes, it leaves tokens, blood-stained movie tickets, photos of him with the eyes scratched out, dead birds with broken necks. Desperate, he returns to the Babalao in Ibadan. The seer meets him by moonlight at the edge of a forest. He brings a calabash of blood and charcoal and draws markings on Jide's chest with chicken feathers. "You cannot run from what is inside you," the old man says, "but there is one way, the ritual of reversal." "What does it need?" Jide asks. "The one who stole your shadow. He must bleed on the same land where the oath was taken." Before the full circle ends, Jide stares at the sky. The moon is nearly full. He has 7 days. Agada has vanished like mist. His mansion, once existing somewhere between myth and reality, has returned to the shadows. No Google Maps, no contacts, no digital trace. But Lagos whispers, if you know where to listen. Jide visits the old actors, the ones forgotten in dusty flats with broken TVs and stacks of VHS tapes. One, a Madu actress named Madame Folake, finally speaks. "I worked with Agada in 84. She rasped. "Before the cars, before the phones. That man is not a man. He made a pact with something deep, something old. You want to find him? You must go to the place where it all began." "Where?" Jide begs. "Badagry." Jide travels to Badagry, to a forgotten part of town where the trees lean like elders whispering secrets. He finds a broken path, paved with bones of stories lost. A palm wine tapper leads him deeper into the forest, speaking only in proverbs. "You fish in muddy water. You must first become the mud." Jide walks for hours, days, until at the mouth of a gully he sees it, the mansion, not as it was in Lekki, but older, ancient, covered in vines and screaming faces, but into the land itself, as if birthed by the earth, the gates open. Inside, the mansion breathes. Every wall is a rib, every corridor a truth. Paintings bleed, statues weep. Time moves strangely. Agada waits in the main hall, seated beneath the blood chandelier. He is unchanged, not older, not younger, just eternal. "I knew you'd return," he says. "The first sacrifice always comes back." "I want my shadow," Jide says. Agada laughs, rising. "Your shadow? That is no longer yours. It is mine now. It is you, perfected." Look, from behind the curtains, the other Jide, impossibly tall, regal, glowing. The shadow has taken his face and become more than human. Its eyes shine with power. You have talent, Agada whispers, but not discipline. You wanted glory. Now you'll be the story. The ritual begins. Drums echo in the walls. Fire circles them. The shadow Jide snarls and attacks. Jide fights back with everything, rage, regrets, memory. The two versions of himself battle in a room that shifts shape. Now a theater, now a shrine, now a grave. Jide bleeds, but he strikes true. He carves his name into the shadow's chest with a shard of glass. He forces the oath back into the blood. He faces Agada, and with the last of his strength, drives a knife through the old man's heart. Agada crumbles like sand. The mansion screams and begins to collapse. Jide runs, the halls falling on themselves. Fire licks the sky. The shadow howls behind him, not dying, transforming, becoming mist, curse, legend. Jide stumbles into the forest just as the sun rises. The mansion is gone. In its place, only a mound of earth and a single black feather fluttering in the wind. Jide wakes days later in a missionary clinic near Badagry. He has no ID, no voice. His vocal cords burnt by the ritual. His fingerprints no longer match any in the database. He's alive, but erased. No one knows who he is. The world moves on. And far away, in a sleek new mansion on Victoria Island, a filmmaker rises, young, bold, brilliant. His name? Jide. But this Jide never blinks, never stumbles, never bleeds, because the shadow always survives. The screen fades to black. From that void, a new face emerges, polished, perfect, poised. He's everywhere. Movie premieres, talk shows, magazine covers. A darling of the Nollywood elites. The people chant his name like a prophet fulfilled. Jide, Jide, Jide. The industry bows before him. Our words fall at his feet like ripe fruit. Every film he touches turns to gold. Every critic praises him. Every viewer adores him. A man of mystery, a man with no past, only a brilliant, blazing present. No one questions where he came from. No one remembers the other Jide, the one who wrote scripts in darkness, the one who once begged for light, because the world, like the gods, only honors the winner. In a fishing village on the edge of time, where no roads lead and the sea forgets to speak, a wanderer walks the shore. He wears no name, carries no voice. His eyes are tired but deep, like something that once burned bright but now smolders in silence. Children whispers he was spat out by the ocean. The elders say he walks with two shadows, one light, one dark, and that he speaks only in dreams. Some nights by the fire, the village crowd tells his tales. There was once a man who wanted greatness. So badly he sold his own shadows. The gods gave him what he asked and took what he did not offer. The children laughed, a silly story, but then the wind shifts, the fire flickers, and somewhere in the dark, a laugh. Not quite human, echoes faintly. The old mansion, gone from the maps, hidden once more in the forest, where the air hangs heavy with forgotten things. But sometimes, late at night, hikers swear they see lights coming from behind the trees, a gate that opens to no road, a path paved with old script and dried blood. And standing at the edge, a man with gleaming eyes and velvet voice, Chief Agada, still alive, or something like him, feeding, waiting. They say he doesn't age. They say he speaks every language and none. And they say he offers the same thing to every broken dream. Want success? Take the oath. But know this, in stories, someone always pays. Back in Lagos, Jide, or the new creature wearing his skin, continues to rise. He speaks in interviews with perfect charisma, but the light in his eyes don't flicker like a human's. He never sweats. He never stumbles on his word. He never casts a proper shadow. One time, on a set, child actor cries when she looks directly at him. That man has two mouths, she went past. One inside his face. They laugh it off. But the sound engineer quits the next day. The editor leaves the country. The director vanishes. The film still premieres. It wins everything. And so the tale goes on. Every generation, one desperate soul reaches for the flame and forgets that fire consumes. The shadow walks among us, still. Sometimes behind the camera, sometimes on stage, sometimes in a meeting where promises taste like honey and end like ash. And Chief Agada, he never chases, he waits. He knows that ambition is the oldest hunger. Sooner or later, another Jide will knock on his door. In every story, there is a prize. In every success, a sacrifice. Be careful what you offer when you kneel to make a wish. For some gods take more than you're ready to give. If you enjoy this story, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exciting African folk tales to come.